All right, and Hov Tinsman's up next. He actually has some of the best information, I think, of everybody with his slides he has. So you guys will find it interesting. He analyzed 20 years of data from Liqui-Grow, and he's our president. So here's Hov.
The best information is I stand between you and lunch. So I will go fast. So the best information is lunch is after me. Then we're all done. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for your business. Liqui-Grow appreciates all the efforts that you not only give the Aledo and the Roseville team, but you give us as a company. So we appreciate that. I'm going to take a little bit of the summary view or the takeaway of what John just presented and basically focus on what does it really mean for all of you. That is, unless you want to dive into the minutia of the details, in which case go to John. He's got all the graphs, and if you figured out where those boxes are, what that meant, you accomplished more than I did. So based upon the question that Chris just asked, 8 of the last 10 years, a fall application of P&K, that depends upon the rate of course, has cost an average of $350 to $475 an acre less in the fall than the same application in the spring. And why is that? Well, the main reason for that has been the charts that John just showed you in terms of showing how stuff starts out as a summer fill, works its way to the spring take, and those production plants that basically put in play things that work throughout the year. Transportation savings are passed along to you, savings that are passed upon early decision makers. All of those things work to your favor. And while they do differ by year over year, this is hardcore number over the last 10 years going back to 2012. Secondly, there has been documented research to show that there's actually a yield advantage to fall P&K application versus spring. That's not to say that spring stinks and don't do it. It just basically says when you're able to get stuff workload-wise out of the way, partly for compaction benefits or nutrient benefits, it's not lost. In other words, it has a yield benefit mostly because you're having the nutrients positioned at exactly the spot where you want them, when you want them, in a precise location, which is the purpose of the exact strip to the band. I will say that over time, and this research goes back into the 70s, this 2-bushel research as it relates to corn has been very consistent over 5 decades. So if you think about the number of days you can be in the field in October, November versus April, that pretty much answers your question. You really are nutrient beneficial to look at a fall application. And as an organization, about 75% of what we apply for the year is done before the end of December. When you look at the combined ROI, when you look at the 2-bushel yield plus the return on investment that Chris just asked about, this is north of 20%. So even if borrowing costs are up significantly for you from 6, 7, 4, up to 10 in some cases, the ROI for making a decision to apply in the fall, I didn't necessarily say you had to pay for it in the fall, it's mostly apply it in the fall, and both from a yield perspective benefit as well as a cost, this is for P&K. Let's move into supply that John talked a little bit about in terms of the river. Our situation is unique that everything that we take P&K wise comes by rail. And in our case here, whether it's Roseville or Aledo, everything comes by rail through the Quad Cities out to Durant, and then from Durant to Aledo or Roseville. So those are key takeaway points. We are not limited by the specifics of what the conditions are on the Mississippi and the depths. Furthermore, we store 90% of what we use in the fall in the summer months. And the reason why that's important is we don't necessarily just try to load up in the month of September for November application. We actually start doing it as early as the middle part of June. And most of that's because you need to have a consistent supply moving forward. It ultimately also averages out the price points that John mentioned earlier. Lastly, I can't emphasize this enough since there's lots of conversation around barges being partially filled because the Mississippi Channel is being compromised in terms of what the depths are, and all you have to do is look at the actual traffic in terms of tons going through the lock and dams, whether it be in Burlington or the Quad Cities, and they are definitely a lot lower than normal, approximately 25% lower, which basically means they're taking into account the shallow main current. I want to end with something that John hit earlier, and that is, if you can just look at this quote for a second. In the month of July, we were making recommendations, and part of this came out on our YouTube channel, which I want to give a little plug for that. That's out there for you to watch weekly. Katie and Jake put out terrific videos that are informative for agronomic topics as well as others. But in the month of July, as a recommendation, we recommended to the entire Liqui-Grow team to ask, our customers should ask, when is the best time that I should be looking to buy NP&K for 2024? And for the best ROI, Liqui-Grow suggests that when you have the first chance to buy N, you make a move. And the reason why you make a move is because as these production plants basically sell out going forward, prices are going to change. And they will basically go upwards, as John already mentioned, $60. And that's exactly what's happened. And as people sell out, things will take a while for them to catch up. But fortunately, for a lot of people that have listened to that advice, they really have created a new paradigm shift that will probably be here to stay for a while. Now, P&K is not nearly as aggressive as it looks like nitrogen is going to be. Right now, the P&K 4-month window, in other words, from today through the end of December, looks to be annualized at a rate of return of about 10.4%. So while that's better, while that would be more costly if you could borrow at 7, you could actually gain some money if you're borrowing at 10. It's basically a wash. But the key takeaway from the P&K cost per acre benefit is fall application, not necessarily fall pay. And with that, I am done and basically am ready to tell you thank you for your business, thank you for being here, and lunch is ready. Any questions? I'm good.
Lead Academy.
Liqui-Grow
Excellence
And agronomy.
development.